Welcome to the Psychosocial Safety Summit coming to you in Brisbane in October 2024. This year, I wanted to do things differently and introduce you to the speakers and supporters in the lead up to the event. I want you to get to know these incredible people before you arrive. And if you haven't got your ticket yet, jump on the link below. But today I want to introduce you to Sean Lappin, who's the Managing Director of Connected Self and the Director at Practice Institute Australia. Thank you for joining us, Sean, and thank you so much for speaking at the summit. Your topic is a really great one.
It's a pleasure. I'm looking forward to having a chat.
So can you tell us a little bit about your background and experience?
Okay, so I guess I started in human services as a very young man, actually, volunteering at the age of 17. I worked on the streets of Adelaide trying to connect children and young people who are homeless to some sort of safe accommodation or services that they might need.
Mm.
And heading from there, I worked in a range of different contexts, but mostly within government in out-of-home care. And I noticed during my time there that we didn't do all that good a job at looking after kids as government, and worked to kind of change things up and create a more therapeutic approach to that work. And I mean, that went quite well. But the thing I did notice is that the government at the time was quite poor at looking after its people, and there was a lot of casualties in those roles. And eventually, I left, not wanting to become another one. After becoming a fairly senior statewide manager of services at that time, went to a large NGO and worked, I guess, as what was known as a national leader or a national expert around housing and homelessness,
Mhm.
and spent a lot of time flying around the country, a lot of time involved in research, and a lot of time working to lobby government really to change policy and to improve funding for people. And from there, started Connected Self, actually.
Yeah.
And that's been going now since about 2007, which is amazing to think back over all that time and realise that yeah, we've grown something quite significant.
That's over a quarter of a century. And you can see the linkages and see the reasons as to why you're doing what you're doing now and how you got to be there. And it's fantastic that you started at such a young age. Uh, can you share with us what Connected Self is, what you do there? And obviously, you kind of already shared why you started, but any other insights there?
Yeah, well, really, it's for me, and I'll talk personally, but for me, it's about ensuring that as many children, young people have the feeling of being loved and belonging to somebody, to something, which is really important. And from there, we grew services that hopefully can be creative and innovative and wrap around children and families. So I started with a lot of psychology, went through different sort of therapeutic approaches, I suppose, like art therapy and play therapy, and have delivered NDI support coordination. But over time, we've moved more and more into the training area and consulting, and supporting organisations to, I guess, supporting organisations to create the culture that holds their people in a way that allows them to do this really challenging work. Because again, what I've consistently noticed across all the different areas that I've worked in, that we don't tend to invest in the human capital that is so very pivotal to those outcomes with the humans with whom they work.
Mm. So true and so aligned with what we're doing at the summit, and I'm really excited to have you on board and can't wait to hear more about the topic. But before we do, you're also the director at Practice Institute Australia. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and why you started that business?
Well, it's kind of linked up in a way, because when we started doing more of the professional development, what we realised is that it was important to get that out to as many people as we can, because historically we do that with individual departments of government agencies or individual organisations, and everything from, you know, your large charitable organisations through to, engineering and electrical firms. So we've got quite diverse. So Practice Institute of Australia is effectively a platform that brings members of the community together around certain practice or certain professional development topic areas, and everything from suicide assist to trauma responsive work to restorative practice. So it's really allowing people a quality professional development experience that's relevant to their context.
Mm. Yeah, and really needed in this day and age. And I know that there'll be people listening that won't want to wait until the summit to get to meet you. So what's the best way to connect with you if they want to find out more?
Yeah, probably info@connectedself.com.au. If people try that, I think that they'll find me one way or another, and we'll be able to connect. But yeah, just really passionate about having chats about how do we support people to be able to work in a way that supports their lifestyle, but also supports really good outcomes for the industry that they're working in.
Mm.
Um, and that's something that we'll continue to talk about, and hopefully as we move closer to the summit, we'll start to talk more about how we can share that in a powerful way.
Yeah. Can you give us a little bit of a teaser about what you'll be sharing at the summit? You did share a little bit just there, but anything else that you can share without giving too much away?
Yeah, well, I'm excited about this. I think it's a really good opportunity. We've done some work with organisations around how do we build a system that supports people to come together in a way where they can recognise what's required in those interactions and relationships. So I know that sounds a little bit amorphous, maybe, but really it's about engaging the workforce and supporting leaders to be with people, even when they're having really tricky scenarios. And to do that in a way that they're confident about, in a way that they feel supported about. So it's about building those layers of support for people within organisations. And we know that helps stop attrition rates. We know that helps attract people to organisations. And we also know how important that is for productivity. So building, engaging and resilient communities. Let's summarise it as that.
Yeah. And that's what every manager I've ever met wants, every employer wants, but it's the how, it's the what do I do? How do I do it? Especially in those tricky situations that you were talking about. We really need to lean into it, not shy away from it. And I'm really excited that you're going to be sharing more on that. So thank you so much for giving us some insight into who you are and your background and experience. And I can't wait to meet you in person.
It's a pleasure. And likewise, thanks, Nicole.
Thanks, Sean.